Jai Shri Ram, Jai Jai Shri Ram. We will learn about Sundaramurthy Nayanar, one of the most famous of all the Nayanmars. His parents were also Nayanmars. His father's name was Sadaya Nayanar and mother's name was Isai Gnaniyar. And so all the three were Nayanmars. Now, actually, the backstory is he was one of the Shivaganas. He was an attendant in Mount Kailasha. There was a garden. He was plucking flowers. One day he saw two beautiful ladies plucking flowers. They were actually attendants of Parvati. He fell in love with them. And Shiva realized Shiva could read this fellow's thoughts, and he said, "Okay, now you go take a birth on earth and have these two women as your wives." He said, "Sorry, sir, sorry, sir." Shiva said, "Okay, you will come back, don't worry, but go there and spread Shiva Bhakti." So he was born on earth to the parents, I told you the name, and he was named Nambi Yarurar. Nambi Yarurar. So Nambi Yarurar grew up, and he was actually adopted by the king. The local king saw this child who was very bright, and he asked the parents, "Please let me adopt her." So he was allowed to be adopted by the king. When he came of age, the parents said, "Okay, we'll get this fellow married." When he was just about to get married and the marriage was solemnized, an old man came and said, "No, no, this fellow is my slave. There is an agreement." Oh my God. The parents already sold him as a slave to me. So everybody was shocked. The old man said, "Come, come, I'll show you the document." So they all went to the temple, Nalur, and the judges also saw the document. They were shocked. But then they followed. Everyone followed this old man. The old man went into the sanctum sanctorum of the temple in the town there, and he disappeared. So everyone realized that the old man was none other than Shiva, who came to stop the marriage, because if he gets married and settled down, he will not be able to go back to Kailasham. He was a great Shiva Bhakta now. He desired to worship Lord Shiva in Tillai. En route, he reached Tiruvadikai, a holy place, which is one of the greatest Nayanmars, all of them. Another Tirunavukkarusar resided. So he felt that the ground is so holy that he cannot even put a foot on that. Tirunavukkarusar resided there. He stayed all the night on a roadside, in a roadside shelter on the outskirts of the town. There, an old man was sleeping next to him. In the middle of the night, the old man's feet were upon Nambiyarur's head. And so Nambi woke the old man to move his legs away. The old man apologized and went back to sleep. After some time, his legs were again on Nambi's head. He was testing Nambi's patience. And he shouted at the man to move away the legs. The old man then asked Nambi as to why he still hadn't recognized him. A shocked Nambi realized that it is Shiva who visited him. And then he sang a pasuram. Tammanai Ariyada. I didn't know you, O Shiva. Next, while he was on his pilgrimage, he heard an inner voice calling him back to Tiruvarur. And Lord Shiva appeared in the dreams of one of his devotees and many of the devotees in Tiruvarur, informing them of his arrival. So the devotee started addressing him as Tampiran Tolar, which means the Lord's friend. So later on, the devotees had some more dreams, and Shiva told them, "Dress up this fellow like a bridegroom." And Nambi was dressed up like a bridegroom. He had a beautiful form and so handsome he was. Therefore, everyone started calling him Sundaramurthy. And he then saw a beautiful woman, and she was a great Shiva devotee. She is obviously one of those damsels. So he got married to the first, lady in the story that I told you, and he got married, and they were living happily. So in another place, they started living, and once there was a heavy rain and all the crops were destroyed, but Nambi prayed, Sundaramurthy prayed, and the entire town was filled with sacks of rice grains. So this is one more miracle he performed. Later in Tiruvarur, there was a big festival, and he was conducting this festival, and he went on many pilgrimages, and on such a pilgrimage he visited the great Tiruvattriyur temple. There he saw the second lady. We talked about the two attendants of Parvati. So there he saw this woman and again fell in love, and they got married again. So these two ladies in their previous birth, uh, Paravayyar and Changiliyar. Paravayyar and Changiliyar were the two attendants of goddess Parvati. So thus Nambi married the two women whom he desired in his previous birth as Alala Sundarar. And he stayed at Tiruvattriyur, worshipped Shiva and led a peaceful life. But he began to miss his hometown Tiruvarur and he wanted to go back. And the second wife, made him vow that he cannot go back. But he went back, and because he violated the promise, he lost his eyesight. So, praying for mercy, begging Shiva, the great devotee traveled with great difficulty, and Shiva restored his eyesight. And so many. Uh, and now the first wife refused to allow him to come to the house because she was angry that he got married second time. She was unaware of the earlier incident which we discussed. So I believe Shiva came into her dreams and told her, "Hey, listen, this is the actual backstory." So again, she was also she was ready for reconciliation, and he went back. So there were many other miracles also he performed. Once on his way to the Chera kingdom, he passed a small hamlet called Tirupokoliur. There was a old couple who were weeping because their young child boy was eaten by a crocodile. But when they saw Sundaramurthy, they stopped weeping and they served him. And Sundaramurthy came to know about the tragedy and he started praying to Shiva, and the young boy came back to life. He walked out of that pond, and that was another great miracle. And the king gave him a white, majestic, big elephant, white elephant, to travel around the city. So he used to travel on this white elephant, engrossed in his own prayers. And after some time, the elephant rose and flew upwards, and so Sundaramurthy went back to Kailasham. And this, I believe, was witnessed by some people, especially Sundarar's friend, Cheraman Perumal. He rode a horse to the temple to meet his friend. Just when he reached the temple entrance, he witnessed the divine sight of Sundaramurthy flying in the sky on the elephant. And the greatest miracle was this Cheraman Perumal. He was very keen to be with his friend, and he pushed his horse, and by the power of his devotion, his horse also flew and he followed his friend. They both reached Kailasam. Thus Sundaramurthy attained the holy feet of Shiva and resumed his life as Alala Sundarar. Bolo Jai Shri Ram. The ladies too left. Jai Shri Ram.